Thank you so
I would,
much.
thank you, ma'am. I would also like to welcome Raghavendra sir, esteemed chair of Student Activity Community, IEEE Bangalore section. A cordial welcome to you, sir. Last but not the least, I would like to welcome all the participants and everybody present here for this very happening session. A lively welcome, guys. Before we proceed further, I invite Deepa ma'am to share a few words of enlightenment and address the gathering.
Yeah. Good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Good morning, Sultan Ketuland, and good evening to all. And I just want to share one or two things. I'm meeting Susan for the third time. Okay, first time, I don't think so she remembers. We met on August 30th in Bangalore when she arrived from USA to attend um, International WIE International Leadership Summit. That was on August 30th, 2019 at Sterling Max. Okay, she delivered a talk on that day. That was a physical meeting. Next time we met last year on July 9th when she was the chief guest and also the CEO and president of IEEE, and she delivered the chief guest address, and that was online. And today again we are meeting in the online mode for resume building and soft skill development workshop. A warm welcome to you, madam. And this is a very important topic because however good we are, we should have very good soft skills, and we should know how to build the resume. Otherwise, it is difficult to impress the employer. So hope you all have a nice evening and a very good session. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you for your encouraging words, ma'am. So the flow of session would be first we would be taking a short introduction about Susan ma'am, and then we would be taking over and would spread some light over resume building and soft skill development. After this, we would be having a short Q&A session where the floor would be open for
Any problem? We can't hear you.
Are we waiting on her to speak or me to speak?
I think there's some audio problem.
Yeah, I think so too. There she is.
Rashi, is there any problem?
Ma'am, I'm not quite sure. Sandhya, are you having any network issues?
no.
Yeah, we lost you.
Would you like for me to start? I can share my screen.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Let's see. Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay, you should see my screen now. If somebody can just let me know that that's the case. Okay, can you see my
Yes,
slide?
ma'am.
All right, thank you. So
Yes,
I'm really
ma'am.
happy. Thank you for the great, thank you for the great introduction. I'm really happy to be here supporting the BMS ITNM student branch. I did, and I do appreciate all of the times that I've interacted with the Bangalore section. There is one additional. I did give this student branch another talk in 2019 on soft skills, just core soft skills. So thank you for inviting me back to talk about resume development and interviewing skills. So today I'm going to talk to you about how to build a resume that will stand out and how to prepare for an interview and to prepare a narrative that will land you the job you want. I'll provide you with some resume writing and interviewing tips and share with you some of the most common mistakes hiring managers and recruiters rarely settle for a dull, dry, resume, a resume that may not necessarily align with the job. Lots of people create a single resume and then apply on many different jobs, but the jobs are all different. People that are doing the hiring are seeking a different kind of insight. I'm a hiring manager, so I speak from experience on this. They try to determine basically from your resume whether your experience and talents can benefit their company. So you need to be able to show them that they will. Your goal should be to ensure that your resume and interview presentation helps interviewers, hiring managers obtain the most insight. I'm hopefully going to help you today avoid some of the most common mistakes. So my talk, when I title my talks, it's called Stand Out from the Crowd. And so the hardest problem that candidates have is during the job application process is standing out among all the applicants. Making sure that your resume stands out is important because on average, each open position attracts about 250 resumes. Of those candidates, 4 to 6 will get a job interview, and then only 1 gets the job. So to get the job you want to be noticeably different or better, and you want to give people a reason not to forget you. So why do I think this topic is important? So I've worked for a variety of companies, for both for-profit and nonprofit. I've worked for the U.S. government, for private industry, and I've been responsible for delivering software and systems products for years. And as a hiring manager, I've screened many, many resumes, continue to screen resumes over the years, and I've conducted many interviews. And what I've seen too many times is that great candidates present poor resumes, particularly for some reason in technology. And you have to be very careful during interviews, particularly, again, with technical people, to ensure that you don't miss a great candidate. I care because I think it's critical that we tell people what we're looking for when we see resumes and when we interview, so that the process is as fair and as open as possible. So I'm going to talk about the interviewer's viewpoint to start with. A lot of times people don't hear this when you're discussing resume or interviews, and it's important for you to get some perspective of what it's like when you're on the hiring side of the hiring process, when you work for a company on the inside, so to speak, and you're trying to recruit and bring in new people. The process is unique with each company. Sometimes as a job applicant, you can benefit yourself if you understand the process that they're applying. You can find out a lot of information about this online sometimes. But it's important for you to understand that the person conducting the job interview is being held to strict guidelines in many cases. The way the interview is being conducted is prescribed, again, many times by company policy, unless the company is really like a small startup. It's important for you to understand because there are also trends to how interviews are conducted. They can be conducted just to find out what your basic ability is, or they can be kind of stump the dummy interviews where they try to find out the most technically astute candidate. Again, how interviews are conducted by specific companies can be found out online. There's lots of stuff posted from other people that have interviewed. But companies know that soft skills are important. How people work together are critical. And during recent years, on the whole, interviews have moved toward competency-based interviews. And what people look for, what hiring managers look for, they look for this in resumes as well. And I'll talk about this in detail. There's some controversy over whether this allows recruiters the ability to find the candidates that they're really looking for, right? How do you really find people? But it's important to remember that regardless of the rules that are in place with the company, that people are looking for valuable resources, and they care about the interview process. They take it seriously. They are taking their time. They are taking your time. And although it's very awkward, you should try to relax and see if the company really meshes with who you are and what you want to achieve. Too many times because of the prescriptive nature of the process, whether the job is really a good fit is lost in the interview. All right, so let's talk about how to develop a resume first that will get you the job interview, right? Because you won't ever get to the job interview if your resume is no good. So I'm going to begin by being very blunt. I have seen a lot of resumes that look like they were put together as an afterthought, that were for a completely different job opening, or that were simply not well done. They had grammatical errors, spelling errors. So the necessary question you really need to ask yourself is, do you really want the job you're applying for? Because if you do, you should take it seriously. You should take the application process seriously, and be prepared to work hard to get the job and secure the job. Research the company, look at the job description carefully, look over your resume, and then see if anything on your resume should change. Should you add or remove resume items? Should you emphasize missing skills that are in the job advertisement? It's important not only to think of your technical skills, but to consider your soft skills as well. I mentioned that before. Is there past experience that's not included that relates to the organization's mission and goals? If needed, get professional help building your resume. It's really important. I know for one of the jobs that I applied on, I did get professional help with my resume, even though I give these talks. It's important to have a second perspective, and it was a U.S. government job, and their requirements for resumes are very different, and it paid off. I got the job, right? So be sure you have someone help you with the grammar, spell check it, do a second read, someone you trust, and show them, here's the announcement I'm applying for. Do you think my resume fits? What should I change? I can guarantee you that your resume will be thrown out if it has spelling errors or grammatical errors. Research shows that hiring managers spend about 6 seconds reading a resume, and if the minute they find an error or they find a problem, they put it to the side. So what are soft skills? You hear us talk about soft skills all the time. We've heard that today already numerous times. So they're the things that are intrinsic to who you are, right? What's important to remember is that these skills are portable across all industries, and that's why hiring managers really care about them, right? It doesn't matter if you're an educator, an automobile mechanic, or an engineer. If you're a good communicator, this translates across all the industries. So you can see on the chart, there's some differences. You can see the differences between soft skills and hard skills. Again, soft skills are useful across all industries, and hard skills are industry specific, right? An auto mechanic could be a good communicator, but they know how to use a socket wrench, right? And then soft skills are your natural abilities, and then hard skills are learned through training or repetition. Soft skills are more EQ, hard skills are more IQ, and so you get the idea. You can strengthen your soft skills. It takes practice. like communicating, public speaking, and it is important that you spend time strengthening these soft skills. They're valued by recruiters and hiring managers. You can see that the CEO of LinkedIn, Jeff Weiner, at the time, interpersonal skills are where we're seeing the biggest imbalance when he's hiring folks, right? So they believe it's important just like everyone else. So why should you care? Why should you include not only your technical skills on your resume, but your soft skills? You'll need to reflect both on your resume to let potential employers see a more complete picture of who you really are as a potential employee. Employers seek out individuals and want to keep and promote individuals who can complement their hard skills with softer skills. And the recent data I found is pretty striking, that 72% of CEOs believe that soft skills are more important to the success of their business than hard skills, and that 94% of recruiters believe that soft skills outweigh experience, and then 94% of recruiting professionals believe that an employee with stronger soft skills has a better chance of being promoted to senior leadership than an employee with a weaker set of soft skills but more technical skills. So the bottom line, what I found in all the studies I looked at is that in every report that I looked at, and from my own experience as a manager, is that soft skills are what separate the good from the great. And so it's important to get them on your resume. So on this slide, I have a candidate of the 5 soft skills. I talked about these when I was here in 2019. They haven't changed, and they're communication, teamwork, critical and analytical thinking, interpersonal skills, and work ethic. How I ended up with this list is I did some research. I used my own experience and spoke with other technical hiring managers, and we all pretty much agree that this was a pretty good list. Just pay attention to these. Hopefully you guys have my talk from that time archived somewhere, but there's lots of research available on the web for about these different soft skills and how to strengthen them. Okay, so recruiters and hiring managers are looking for job candidates. They're looking for the best of both worlds, someone who is technically proficient and also the right fit according to their soft skills, right? I need a technical leader who's able to speak with customers, that kind of thing. So it's important to highlight your soft skills on your resume. They should complement each other, your hard and soft skills, making you the total package the employer wants based on the application or the advertisement that's been posted. So, for example, an engineer should be both highly technically competent while being able to understand business benefits and communicate effectively with clients. So, and that's just one example. So the word resume comes from the French, and it means summary, okay? We all know that resumes are used to highlight a person's career, background, skills, and in most cases land a new job. And your resume is your first impression. It's critically important, as I mentioned before, to customize your resume for the job you're applying for. The biggest mistake most people make is they create a single resume and use this resume to apply for multiple jobs. Research the company, read and understand the job requirements in the advertisement, incorporate the soft skills. There's a method called the STAR method that I'm going to talk about today that'll help, and use numbers and details to highlight your achievements. Proofread, proofread, proofread. So don't rely on the Microsoft Word editor to catch your mistakes. Pick someone who will be honest with you to proofread your resume and provide you with some feedback. And make sure your layout and presentation are clean. People spend a lot of time worrying about the format of their resume. It should just, I have some examples to show you today. It should be just very plain. It shouldn't have a lot of formatting content on it. That stuff just takes up space, valuable space you can use for what you really want to put on there. So I talked about the STAR method briefly. I mean, I just mentioned it before, but the STAR method is a technique that can help you prepare both your resume and for an interview. It can help you construct a resume that will provide potential employers with a complete picture of your capabilities. But it does take some effort, but it does help you construct and organize a specific and thoughtful resume that will showcase your accomplishments and skills and knowledge in a framework that is repeatable and one that will align with stories that you can repeat during the interview process. So STAR asks you to think of a situation in which you were involved that had a positive outcome in one of your previous roles. Describe the task involved, specify what actions you took in that situation to complete the task and achieve results and the results that followed due to your actions, right? So that's what you're trying to communicate. So the first thing to consider is to carefully consider the job advertisement. I mentioned that. Read the description, and if the job's a good fit, determine 5 to 7 skills, technical skills that you want, and soft skills that you want to highlight on your resume for the target job. Now, make another list. I'm going to tell you 2 ways to do this STAR technique. This is the first. So identify the skills and then make another list. Identify the key accomplishments that align with those skills. So what have you done in past roles that align with these skills, right? And these skills should align with the job advertisement, right? So then take those 2 lists, match your accomplishments that most closely demonstrate the skills required by the job description and begin drafting your resume information, right? For this period of time, I did this, you know, hard and soft skill, and I have some examples of this. Be sure to start your resume bullet points with action verbs and begin with your relevant skill or impact. So that's what people are looking at right away. Eliminate unnecessary language. Try to keep it very simple, the language simple as well. So here is an example. Let's see, let me see. Okay, so there's one example on here, right, of how to quantify your impact, and you can see it in the last bullet. It says, for example, led would be the action, you know, led a cross-functional team of 6 in development of innovative software products to predict COVID-19 spread, launched 1 week ahead of schedule with a savings of 10%. So what you're saying here is, here's what I did, here's the impact, here's the action we took, and then the impact. And right, so that's savings of 10%. All right, so here's another example of the STAR method using a grid. And this is the way I do it because I like to have these grids to look over. You know, which resume did I submit, which grid accompanies it, and then I can use that when I'm interviewing, right? Because people are going to have your resume right there in front of them. So you can print out some blank grids. These are, you can use this PowerPoint slide, or you can, you know, make your own and start filling them in and begin with an action verb. You can see here is an example, served as project team lead for Ford Motor Company and was responsible for the design of the 2019 Super Duty trucks door assembly. And then the task, when I was hired, the assembly support for all Super Duty trucks was performed manually, which resulted in production delays and quality control variations. Under my technical leadership and production execution, I led a team effort to design 2019 Super Duty robotics assembly, implementing new quality controls, improved network integration, and revised training for new production hires. And then within 4 months, the company's on-time fulfillment record increased from 72 to 98%, and quality call-outs decreased from 36 to 2%. Lots of times, what people forget is to talk about on their resume is the result, right? They talk about just what they did. Who cares, right? I was a chief programmer in this job for this period of time. That doesn't tell me anything. What did you do when you were chief programmer in that job for that period of time, and what tasks what major task, what action did you take, and what was the result? And outcome from your actions. So then you have to take this content and you have to refine it, because you can't put all this on your resume. And here's what the final result might look like. Led effort to design 2019 door robotics assembly at Ford Motor Company, implementing new quality controls, improved network integration, and revised training for new production hires. On-time fulfillment record increases from 72 to 98%, and quality call-out decreases from 36 to 2%. So to really succeed in today's job market, you have to think of your resume as an advertisement targeted towards your future employer, as the statement at the bottom of the slide says. And you can see how impactful using the STAR method can really help to make your resumes. All right, so here's some more examples and how you can leverage your IEEE experience as a member and volunteer. Very important to get this type of stuff on there and mapping it to soft skills like communication, right? Invited speakers, authors, things you may have written, places you may have presented. Teamwork, like leading, being a chair of a section or chapter, that kind of, or working in a conference, that kind of thing. So I'm going to talk right now about some specific resumes before and after. So the before example was an actual resume that was sent to me by a student member from India. And then we worked together and revised this resume. And he, I'm happy to say, got a job following this activity. Here's some classic things. His resume, the before version, really had so many things wrong with it that I asked him if I could use it and make it generic, right? I don't have his name up here, but he said sure that I could use it for my talks. So you can see, I'll start at the top. He has a website for employers to go look at, and the title is really not professional, and he's using a Gmail account for his email. If you're an IEEE member, put your IEEE email down. And don't provide, my recommendation is that you not provide potential employers with access to any kind of website or examples until you get to the interview stage. So this should just have the email and the name. So this resume originally had a photo. In the United States and lots of companies, there are HR prohibitions about using photos because they cause bias. You know, you look at an individual and you decide you don't like them just by the way they look, or you do because of the way they look. So they do not put a photo on a resume. This is a generic, you can see the statement at the top. His statement, summary statement is just very generic. And I don't really recommend objective statements. If you use them, they have to be really aligned with a specific job or company that you're targeting. And this one does not. Do not put high school or secondary school education on a resume. Employers typically only care about if you have a college degree or college degree, and that's the only thing that should be listed. If you don't have a college degree, then of course you list your high school or secondary, primary school. Then let's see. You can see from the format here, it's very. Can you see this resume? Is it available? I want to make sure it's displaying because I show that I'm sharing Microsoft PowerPoint. I want to make sure that the resume is showing. Can somebody let me know? How about this? Nobody's answering. So I will make sure and share this. Okay. So hopefully now make sure that you can see it. All right, so you can see from this resume, it's the things I previously described. And then let's see. the format on here is just too much, right? Headers are okay, but to have all this formatting, you can see how it just takes up so much room. And it's really not anything that recruiters or hiring managers care about. And then starting with the jobs, you know, academic projects, whatever experience you're going to show, there's nothing here that really talks that would make me care as an employer about this person's abilities or what they accomplished. You can see, like the first one says, an artificial intelligence application made by Python 3 and PyTorch, which it sounds like a description of the application rather than what this individual accomplished and did. And then let's see. Misspellings, right? Implementing is hyphenated. Challenge is an error, spelling error. So this resume just needed a lot of work. Again, more misspellings. And then you never put, big no-no is to put your gender and date of birth on a resume. Do not do that. Again, that causes problems with the HR policies. And then if you're going to put references, don't put their position description, just give their name and contact information. If they are contacted, they can talk about themselves or tell how they know you. My recommendation is not to put references on a resume, but to say references are available upon request. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this one and go to the next one. Hold on just a second. So this is the resume after we worked on it. Let's see, it should come up. All right, so this is the resume after. And you can see that what we added was a profile instead of an objective statement that really does align with the job description that this individual was seeking. The keywords align with the job description, and it provides an upfront sort of overview. So you can see of the person. Advanced web developer and computer systems programmer with leadership experience in structuring, developing, and implementing interactive websites. Academic credentials reinforced by practical programming capability gained during internships and work experience. Right, so as a hiring manager, I'm like, oh, okay. This person is looking, you know, as a computer programmer, web developer, and they have significant experience, so good. The areas of expertise, right up front, show a list of hard and soft skills, right? Advanced programming and design skills, strong collaborative skills, excellent problem-solving skills, you know, Java, all right? And then as you go down to the work experience, you see from the time, and then the job title, and the company and where it was, and then you can see that these are more of the STAR method. Led development team of 7 in creation of dynamic websites from conception to implementation utilizing PHP, HTML5, and JavaScript. Consistently met program schedule and budget targets, right? So you can see that's a big difference. You can see further down, tested websites and performed troubleshooting prior to deployment, reducing post-deployment problem reporting by 42%. So this is really good. It really gives more of an overview and really tells you more about the candidate and their capabilities. The education, again, just listed the college, listed any certifications, very important. This person had all these certifications, they weren't listed. When talking about their academic projects, it's important to list those if you have limited job experience. You can see that, again, using the STAR technique for the first one is an example. Wireless charging of mobile phones and efficient usage of non-renewable resources using the basic concept of isoelectricity for charging the present-day gadgets like mobile phones. Then awarded a funding grant from Superfund for research project. All right, so that was pretty significant. And then you can see down like the AI voice assistant, project lead on artificial intelligence application made by Python 3 and PyTorch to analyze the human voice and process the queries into text and get its answer in return. Application development met all requirements, design, and test targets and completed on schedule. There's a list of technical skills. There's other, right? What did this person do that was also important? And look at all this IEEE experience that wasn't on that other resume. That would be very important to me. And then also professional memberships. So you can see that this resume is very different than the other and was really more targeted for this information technology kind of job. So let me go back to my, okay, should be sharing the presentation shortly. Okay, so that was an example of a before and after. And now I'm going to talk about interviewing, right? So you've got your resume has gotten you in the door and you're about to interview for this job that you want. So one of the most common interview styles today is the behavior-based interview, and it's because managers want to know if people will be a good fit within their technical teams, right? So they ask people to describe experiences they've had that demonstrate behaviors that the company think are important for a particular position. You might be asked to describe a time you were required to make a decision under pressure. And you can use the STAR approach, again, to help you ready yourself for these types of questions. Be prepared to answer. Try to guess ahead. Do research on the company. Lots of times the types of resume interview questions that they ask are posted in some of these forums. But make sure that you have experience that aligns with some of the potential interview questions that you think you might get. I'd be amazed at how many times people show up cold for an interview. They don't practice, they don't anticipate any of the questions, and it doesn't usually go very well. As I said before, preparing for the interview is important. Do some research on the company. By researching the company, it shows that you really did your homework and you are interested in working there. And you're not just randomly interviewing to try to get any job. People want you to be interested in their company. They're proud of their company. You may be asked why you want to work for the company, and be prepared with a specific answer. Be sure that you have short answers, concise answers, and don't go on and on and on. That's another thing. When you're not prepared, people tend to really, their thoughts tend to wander. See if there are any blogs or any, I mentioned this before, but the web is a really valuable resource as far as what types of interview questions might be asked. And people relate their interview experiences. There are sites like Glassdoor.com, Indeed.com, and these tell you what, and these are in the U.S., but they tell you what to expect from the process. Be prepared with 3 to 5 key selling points of why you're the best candidate, and work these into questions. Like people will say, well, why do you want this job, or why do you feel you're qualified? And you can say, well, I have great project leadership skills. For example, as you'll see in my resume, I was team lead on project XYZ and successfully led the turnaround of that program, right? So you direct them back to your resume, you remind them of your experience, and that's partly due to using the STAR technique, right, to help you prepare. And lastly, be sure you have some questions for the interviewer. Usually at the end, they ask you if there's anything you would like to ask. And one of the things that's important is ask them, I always want to know, is the job application or the job description really align with what you're looking for? And are there any things that I missed that you that align with this job that I did not address? So those are the types of things. You could ask them about the company as well if you have questions there. So on this slide, people always want to know what kind of questions, right? So I've got a couple of different categories. Here's some technical type questions that you ask technical people. These are more of the soft skill type questions. They will probably be mixed with technical questions, but they're like the mid-level type if you're doing a mid-level hire. Remember, again, to keep your answers brief and highlight past skills that align with the job in your resume. So here's some of the questions. It's like, what experience do you have on cross-functional teams? On a scale of 1 to 10, how skilled are you at communication? Which I think is a funny question, but it's asked. How do you manage your time on multiple projects? Do you believe it's possible to be a good team member and yet disagree with the leader? How did your previous positions prepare you for this current role or the current role that you're in? How would you handle a dispute with a coworker? And then sometimes they want to know the process for how you do your job. So these are all good. They're all important. It's important to be prepared. That's the bottom line. So there are open-ended questions, like tell me about yourself. Do not go on and on. They don't want to know about your siblings and your parents and all that. They want to know about your elevator speech, right? So your elevator speech is a clear, brief message. It's like a commercial about you, right? And commercials are not very long. And the reason it's called an elevator speech is it should be short enough to go up as you're riding up an elevator with senior executive. You can tell them about yourself in 30 seconds, all right, 30-second elevator ride. Remember to connect open-ended questions back to the job interview. That's why you're there. And make the most of the tell me about yourself question if they ask it. Many interviews will begin with this question. Here's an example of how a program manager might respond. It says, well, I could tell you a lot of things about myself, and if I miss something, let me know as we move forward. But the 3 things I think are the most important for you to know about me, and then tell them 3 or 5 selling points, right, that are related to the job. And then you could expand on those a little if you want. And they'll probably ask you to expand on one of the areas that you mentioned, one of the 3 to 5. So here's something I might say, or because I'm a program manager, if I applied for a program management job, I would say that 3 things for them to know that are the most important about me are that I'm a program manager with a diverse background and a proven record for product development, delivering programs on time within budget, and have a demonstrated ability to manage diverse and geographically dispersed teams and acquisition budgets up to $1.2 billion. And as you can see from my resume, and then I would cite a project that or an activity that would exemplify what I just described. And I do have examples on my resume of that. The key is to have this elevator speech down to really prepare as for all the questions you might anticipate. Be positive. There's sometimes they might ask you negatively scoped questions, and these are designed to either elicit a negative response or designed to get you to go beyond your comfort zone. Don't fall for these negative type questions. It's important to be honest, to show them what kind of person you are in a positive way. Stay away from personal events that rely on personal events and rely on professional experiences. And don't cast blame. That's a big. Sometimes they're looking for that, see what you're really made of, but you don't want to do that. So here's some examples. So they might ask you if you've just recently graduated, what courses you like the least. And then you could answer with a positive response. Well, I found something positive about all of my classes. For example, I found thermodynamics to be very tough, but the practical application of this theory has really helped me greatly as I work to do research. What's your greatest weakness? I wouldn't tell them. I would just say something like this, like, always found it challenging to present my ideas in front of a crowd. Think of something and then how you worked on it, right? When I found this was becoming a career obstacle, I joined my local IEEE chapter, started working and presenting in front of these local volunteers, and this helped me continue to improve in this area, right? They don't really want to know your greatest weakness. They want to see how you're going to respond to this question. What is your biggest regret in life? Well, once my team failed to deliver a product on time. We missed a major incentive because we didn't really put time into requirements development up front. Since then, I make sure that we review the requirements and design with all of our clients. So take the negative and spin it to a positive. It's a rare, but it does occur. You may go into an interview where an individual might ask an inappropriate or even a legal question. On this slide, I've listed the questions that are illegal, not legal, in the United States. You need to check. There are lists of these types of things for each country. You know, there are many things to discuss during an interview. There's no reason at all why a recruiter or hiring manager should ask you a question that is not legal and fair. To respond to one of these questions could jeopardize your opportunity to get the job. But you also might want to think about why they're asking these questions. If this is the manager you're going to be working for that's hiring, or that why this company would allow this type of illegal activity to take place, you might want to have a second thought about taking the job. Sometimes it's just a manager that doesn't know the rules, right? They don't mean anything by it. But you know, and also sometimes you might want to understand why they're asking, right? They can't ask you about your marital status or if you have children or that kind of thing. But if they're asking, maybe it's because there's a really significant travel requirement. So sometimes you can turn around and go, well, it's not really relevant to, you know, my ability to complete the job, but why would you ask, you know, that type of information? Is it relevant to the job? And ask. So during the interview process, there's some basic things to think about. How you engage with others is important to think about. Do you pay attention? Do you actively listen? Do you look at people when they're talking to you and let them finish their sentences? Do you ask them questions? So there are ways to show that you're engaged and interested, and think about those communication strategies. Think about your voice, the tone and cadence and clarity of your messaging. Are you speaking too softly? Are you speaking too quickly? And then think about your body language, stay engaged, and most importantly, believe in yourself, right? Don't be insecure, be confident, but not arrogant. So I want to talk about some IEEE resources that are available. People sometimes are not aware that we have different job sites. These job sites let you upload your resume and give potential employers a look at you as an IEEE branded resource, right? So you can search for the jobs that are posted. This is the jobs.ieee.org. And then there are also jobs. It allows you to browse by category, that type of thing. But then the Computer Society also has a resource as well where you can do the same type thing, and also look for summer internships. And then Power and Energy Society has one as well. So you can go to all of these different, I would recommend you take advantage of these different resources. To summarize, to get the job you want, there are a variety of resources available. Lots of information on the web about specific companies, what they're looking for, that type of thing. But remember, most importantly, to target your resume. Again, each job is a specific, unique opportunity, and your resume should be paired and tailored to each job. Remember the STAR approach. There's information again on the web about the STAR approach if you didn't catch everything I talked about today. But include both hard and soft skills, right? Look at, for examples of, you know, on the web, people say, here's a good resume that includes both, you know, and follow those examples. Be prepared for the interview, research the company and the types of questions you might be asked. And then lastly, follow up on each application. Be sure you contact each company after the interview regarding the status of your application. So again, I'd like to thank you for your time and attention, and we have time for questions, and I'll stop sharing so that you can ask your questions.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an insightful and enlightening chat with us. I hope there was a lot to learn for the audience today. Also, we would now like to open the floor for questions. I request the participants to unmute their mics and ask their questions or post it in the chat box.
Okay, I'm looking, and I apologize for you guys not being able to see that first resume for a while. I have forgotten how WebEx doesn't allow you to share just your screen. So thank you for your patience there.
That's totally fine, ma'am. The event was nice and we could follow you well. Saundarya, we had collected a couple of questions from the participants, so it would be great if you start with those questions. Meanwhile, the participants are requested to put their questions in the chat box. Thank you so much.
Okay. So
Yes.
there's a question that says, what all must be done a day before the interview? So what I would do is especially if you're sending out targeted resumes, right? So let's say you have 5 or 6 resumes out. They're all slightly tailored for different job applications. Pull the resume that you submitted the day before. If you did the STAR technique, get your cards and look at those. They will really help you prepare for the interview, right? Because the interviewer might ask you, do you feel was your most impactful role? And then you have that, well, this job, I did this and we accomplished this, right? You can talk about that on the STAR, but I would refresh all of my information and then print out some extra copies of your resume to take with you so that you can hand those out if needed and have those available.
Thank you, ma'am. How to face an interview with confidence, ma'am?
So that takes practice, and what you can do to interview with confidence is practice with friends, practice with family, practice with teachers if they're willing, but it really does take practice, and it's like knowing your subject, right? So when you, like when you go in to take a test, if you've studied, you're confident. If you're going into a job interview and you really are familiar with your resume, you've done the STAR technique, you're prepared to answer questions, you've researched the company, you're more prepared. So you will be more confident the more prepared you are. But practice does help.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Do employers really consider referrals or references? I don't know. My experience is that like in the United States, companies cannot call and ask, did this person do a good job? Well, all they can do is call and verify employment, right? So no, in the United States, referrals are not a thing that's required. Now for a security clearance, they are. They interview people and ask about your credential, your character, right? But that's a different type of interview. Totally, that's a security clearance interview. But for a job for a resume, I do not list references on my resume, and I would not do it. If they want the references, you can just put simply references are available upon request. And my experience, but it's U.S.-centric, is that they do not use references. Is it a good idea to ask the interviewer for feedback after the interview? No, it's not a good idea. They can't give you that feedback because that would allow you unfair competition with the other candidates. So you could ask, but they're not going to give you an honest answer, right? They're not going to tell you, well, you just blew this interview and you're not getting the job. The people that have interviewed you are going to write notes usually, and they're going to make a recommendation to the Human Resources Department, and then Human Resources will get back and let you know whether you've gotten the job or not. But I would not ask for feedback. It's really kind of shows a sign of insecurity as well. How did I do? Well, they're not going to tell you, and that just shows that you're not secure in your interview.
What is the basic information that one must include in resume, ma'am?
In the resume?
Yes,
so, okay, so there are lots of great examples on the internet about what a good resume looks like. The important thing is to include your certifications, right? Any relevant experience, publications, leadership experience, of course, your degree information, and credentials, but in each job, right? So the name of the company, the time you work there, your position, And then use that STAR technique to make me care about what you did in that role, right? Don't just say, I was a software engineer and I worked for this company on this project. I don't care. I don't know anything about that role. I don't know anything about that project. I don't know anything about it unless you tell me, you know, using the STAR. What did you do? What was your impact? What was the outcome? That kind of thing. So that's really what's important on a resume, is to let people see the impact you had in each role, whether it be as a student or as a working professional.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. How to deal with teammates who make you feel left alone? Am I
Say that
audible
one more
now?
time.
How
Yeah,
to
you
deal
are.
with teammates who make you feel left alone?
How to deal with people who make you feel. Put it in chat, because you're breaking up. I think it's your connection, and it's like every. How to deal with teammates who make you feel left out. Yeah, that's really a tough one, right? The social dynamics of work are tough, and you could try to take a leadership role. The nature of technical work is that the people working in it are not social animals, right? We're not generally social. Most people in technology are introverts. So when you're probably not the only one that feels left out. Everybody's probably just doing their own thing, and sometimes you just don't need to be as sensitive. But if they are truly excluding you from an activity, then I would get with the team lead or the manager and say, I need a role in this effort. My role needs to be more clearly defined, right? If you're being left out of the project, that's important. If you're being left out socially, I would look for a friend and, not really care about what these folks are doing if the dynamics are like that. You're going to have a very long career, and in 20 years, you're not even going to remember these people that you're working with. But it is up to the team manager and team lead to make sure that you have a clearly defined role on that activity.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. How to bring your own essence or uniqueness in the resume, ma'am?
To bring your own into the interview?
Yes.
So, okay. So again, it's not that hiring managers want to hire unique people, right? They want to hire people that are technically competent and have associated competency and soft skills, right? So if there are 5 engineers out there and all 5 are technically competent, right? They all have good degrees, they all have some commensurate job experience, but one is a good communicator, one has demonstrated experience on their resume that they can publish, they can write, then I'm hiring that person. I may hire that person if they're not as technically competent because they can communicate and write. A lot of engineering, a lot of technology is not just working in a lab. It's communicating with clients, it's establishing requirements, it's making sure your design is sound, and you have to be able to communicate to do that. As you go in the leadership chain, you have to be able to communicate with others as far as budget, securing resources. So you have to be able to communicate.
What are the certificates that we should include in the resume, ma'am?
So any certificate that you have, I would include if it's relevant to the job, right? I don't care if you're CPR certified, if you can do, resuscitate someone. I don't care if you're a certified lifeguard, if it's not a lifeguard job. But if you have any, if it's an information technology job and you have certifications in Java, you need to include those. So any relevant certifications.
What should one do to stand out in an interview?
So I think the number one way to stand out in an interview is that you have researched the company, and you're prepared with your answers, right? When they ask you, tell us about yourself, and you can answer that question in under a minute with an impactful statement that connects to your resume and also connects to the job. So you have to spend time working on that statement, right? They'll ask you that question first, and if you can respond in a non-rambling, very concise way, it'll make an impression. Again, research the questions you might be asked and be prepared with answers. If you do that, you will stand out because you will have prepared when others have not.
Yes, ma'am. If there's any questions, please put it in the chat box.
So I hope this was useful today. I'll send you guys a copy of my presentation with the
Yes.
sample resume, and you can share it with the members of your group. And I think that'll be valuable as well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an informative session. It was an honor to have you here with us, ma'am. Now I
Thank you.
request, yes, ma'am. I request everyone to on their camera for a photo shoot. Can everyone on the camera?
I like seeing everybody. Hello, everyone.
Yeah. I hope everybody on. Yeah, okay. Smile. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody,
Now
for
I
attending
request,
today. I
yes,
hope it was
ma'am.
valuable.
Yes, ma'am, it was really valuable. Now I request Raghavendra sir to give the vote of thanks and address the gathering to end the session on a positive note.
Good evening, ma'am. I am Raghavendra Prasad, SAC Chair, IEEE Bangalore section. And also I attended the international conference at 𝐒𝐴T𝐚𝐫𝐏𝐢𝐭𝐜𝐜, so where you gave the presentation related to the international conference and all these, from the Mysore subsection also it was handled, and you have sent a video of 15 minutes. It's really great, I have heard, and it's really nice. I have learned, although I am working as a faculty now, you have brought insight so into the how to prepare the resume and how to face the interviews, and you have given the examples also. Really it's great, and in your busy schedule you have taken out your time so that you can give the insights into how to build the resume and also how to face the interview, and really this has given a great insight for our students and also all the attendees in a way such that it is not that once you get into the job we have to further continue in the same direction, and how to get always be in a positive mode. You have highlighted so many points also. It's really great, and our SAC volunteers have worked out, and thank you for your great guidelines, and also we are going to follow it in a great way, and it's going to help us a lot. Thank you, ma'am, for your time as well as the great insight into the resume building as well as how to win over for the placement and other things also.
Thank you.
Yeah. And
Thank you, sir.
from SAC, I'm going to all the volunteers who have attended, and also they have taken a great insight, and the recordings will also be available, and madam is going to share the presentations also, and this will be shared with the students along with one resume madam has told. Please go through that and see to that you are going to shape your future in a way, in a great way, so that you are going to contribute for yourself as well as the whole world. Really it's great to work, and also for the humanitarian purpose we are going to work with that. And along with that, I thank all the volunteers who have planned this event, and really it's very great, and they have worked hard to get madam for this presentation, and really it is very fruitful from the point of view of the students as well as those who attended. Thank you very much. I hand over to the co-host Soundarya, who have done a great job. and you have taken all
Thank
the
you.
questions and also have discussed really good thing,
Yes.
and also Rashi also, and all the SAC volunteers who have worked day in day out so that we are able to make it up. Although around 45 to 50 they attended, so they are really interested, and also I think they are going to take and make best use of it here. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Now I request the moderator to present the virtual plaque as a token of appreciation for Susan ma'am.
Thank you so much.
I would like to extend my heartful gratitude to Miss Susan and also thank all the participants for joining us today. It was really wonderful to have you all here. Now, I would also like to request the moderator to present the virtual plaque as a token of appreciation for Deepa ma'am. And now with this, we would like to close today's session. Now I request everybody to leave the meeting. I hope you guys had a worthwhile. Thank you, ma'am.